early Avalanche guys, and we got together, and then 10 years later, Disney acquires us, and then 6 months later, Pixar gets acquired, then Marvel. I mean, it's crazy. I can't believe I'm sitting here on this couch with these guys. It's just awesome.
That's awesome. So I want to open it up a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
The pleasure goes
what a
both
great
ways.
story. So I want to open it up a little bit, actually, and ask you guys what it's like working with such iconic brands. You know, at Disney Infinity, we are the only sanctioned brand in the company to bring all these characters together. It has its challenges, but we work closely with you guys all the time about, you know, all these different things, right? Darth Vader doesn't run. You know, these things to keep characters actually on brand, right? And it's things that, you know, some of the time we do know, some of the time we don't know. So maybe talk a little bit about what that's like. I mean, not only with us, but with some of the other partners that you guys work with. What is your job like? What's it like working with these brands?
I went first last time. I was going to yield the floor to you guys.
I mean, I think for you know, I can speak for our team. I think we feel a lot of responsibility that we're just the caretakers for right now for the things that we're working on in Star Wars, and we're not solving for tomorrow. We're solving for Star Wars to be around for 30 more years, and we want to create authentic experiences that touch all the different pieces of storytelling and character and deliver high quality experiences, and that's a lot of pressure. And so when we work, you know, we get an opportunity to work with some of the best developers in the world, and there is sometimes a process you have to go through to kind of remind them of maybe some of the rules of Star Wars. One of the things that makes Star Wars great is the characters change, they evolve, some of them get killed off, some of them are encased in carbonite for a period of time, other ones are in the bottom of a Sarlacc pit, and so that means that when we do storytelling or we want to use some of these characters or weave new stories in these timelines, we have to be very cognizant of these situations and make sure that we help our partners understand that things change and not everybody has a lightsaber during the classic period, and really work with that. And it is sometimes a challenge when you have to take a game where you have certain game mechanics that you need to make a game fun, and maybe if Darth Vader can't run, that actually turns into a bit of a problem because you need him to get from A to B in a certain amount of time in order to have a fun gameplay experience. So we have to figure out how to make him feel authentic to himself and be true to the character that people would know from the films, but also figure out how to bring in some of the game elements to make sure that it's also a fun game experience, because if he's exactly like you see him in the movies, that may not be the kind of gameplay experience that you want where people want to play him, and so we work with teams to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, and that's a really difficult balance. I mean, that was one example, and we kind of laugh. I mean, what's funny about it is that more often than not, the response that I've been seeing from people is they appreciate how authentic we actually are to that character, and a lot of that has to do, most of it has to do with how you guys have guided us along the way to integrate the complete Star Wars experience inside of Infinity. Is there any other fun kind of behind-the-scenes stories or memories from working on Disney Infinity, and specifically with Star Wars, that'd be kind of a fun anecdotal story to share with the audience?
I think, generally speaking, we've had such a great experience working with Jeff, his team, all the developers at Salt Lake, not only that, Ninja Theory, Studio Gobo. They've done such a fantastic job bringing this to life in a new way.
He didn't say us, John.
I think you know, we've worked to try to find the right blend of when you're bringing Star Wars to life, kind of in a new way in the Infinity aesthetic, where it's a world of toys. The right balance of you know, trying to find the right balance of humor and different things like that. That hopefully some of the things that we've worked with the team on, they'll see we've had a lot of fun with Sarlacc and different things that are in the game. So.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool surprises, and I think that, you know, we're very proud of the work that we've done with the team, and you know, I'm really looking forward to it coming out and seeing the reaction.
That's really sweet. Very happy to.
Do you want a hug?
I do. Well, I love hugs. Okay, so let me, Albert, let's turn it over to you. I mean, you were talking a little bit about how you'd worked with Jeff on, you know, bringing together some of the artistic direction for Inside Out, and how that translated to Infinity. You guys maybe talk a little bit about that for a few minutes?
Yeah, well, I think similar to everyone here on this panel, my job in working with Jeff was just sort of to be an overseer of the character. We're all sort of protectors of our character, and yet the fun part is allowing a lot of creative freedom to Jeff and his team, and allow them just a lot of room to have fun and play. Inside Out in particular, we had tons of reference material for ideas that were never actually in the film. We left, gosh, about 90% of the work that we did just on the floor in the trash. And so the fun part was just sharing a lot of those ideas with Jeff's team and then saying, well, for one thing, like just like Darth Vader, Sadness would not run either. She would probably
the best thing for the gameplay or for, and a lot of times, in the case of something like Inside Out, I haven't been able to see the film, so I've seen like concept and the film is still in the process of being made and it's changing and they have ideas of, or not ideas, it's very concrete to them of what that character is and how they should behave. And so I bring my assumptions in there of how that character ought to look or the pose that they have or how the mechanics ought to be. And there's this debate that happens that they do what's best for their characters and their story, and I'm trying to do what's best for the game. And it feels like we're not making either of us happy, but in the end, we're probably hitting in that middle ground that's right for both. And I think it's there's times that it's challenging, but in the end, I think it's a fun process.
I think, when I was playing the other day, and I don't know if a lot of people have seen this yet, but when Joy's running in the toy box, after she runs for a certain amount of time, she puts her arms up in the air and runs like that, which I think is so funny. There's so much personality that our team has captured in all of those characters that extends beyond the experience that might have originally introduced you to them. Now, the Marvel guys, you guys are by far the most fun. When it comes to a defined, I would say a defined rule set of what you can and what you can't do with those characters, because these characters have been around for such a long time, and have appeared in so many different things, comics, films, animated series, all these different kinds of things. The encyclopedic knowledge you must have of all these characters is probably pretty insane.
Well, that's why I tell my mom. I said, Mom, all the comics you bought for me, it was all research.
Yeah,
It was
it's all R&D. Right?
And you're right. The knowledge that we have to have is for us who are lucky enough to work with these characters that we love, it comes natural to us because we've lived with these characters for years. I mean, weekly, daily, my head was buried in comic books since even before I could read, and then watching the cartoons and now seeing the movies. So these characters are so, when you ask about what they would or wouldn't do, they're real people to us. We know them so well. We have that, I'm glad you brought up the word responsibility, because at Marvel we live by the mantra, with great power, there must come great responsibility. And our power, we're lucky enough to have, if you call it power, we're able to work with these characters. Our responsibility is to make sure that when you read a comic, play a video game, watch a movie, that the characters are right, that they are just as you imagined them, and that we are delivering everything you want as a fan. So that's our responsibility, is to think back, okay, when and not to say just when we were fans, we are still fans, to think about what is everything we would want in this game for these characters to do. So that's what kind of we live and breathe.
Mikey, how about you?
Well, I mean, it's exciting. It's challenging. I mean, you guys talked about, brand and character versus the gameplay, and